Chapter 6, prioritizing your life. Prioritizing your life. This is such an important topic in the book, What Works When Diets Don't. Just to let you know, we're putting this on Audible. We're also releasing podcasts. I know I'm saying that a few different times, but it's good to let people know because they come into the audio version or the podcast a little bit late in the game. And I also want to let them know that we have books available free of charge. You can download What Works When Diets Don't. You can download Feasting and Fasting. You can download Help, I'm Addicted, Controlling the Cravings That Are Controlling You, and many more books. All of them are at westsidechristianfellowship.org, westsidechristianfellowship.org. And with the diet book, there's going to be a lot more in the book than what I'm going over in the podcast and on Audible, because it's a lot of just kind of redundant information, menu planning, talk about breaking plateaus, talk about a lot of different things in the book. But I'm also addressing them in the podcast and in the Audible version as they come up. So I don't want to be repetitive. That's why I'm encouraging those who need maybe some additional help to also look at the resources we provide at the church website and challenging yourself. I think that's what that says, challenging yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about today in prioritizing your life. I'm excited about the next chapter as well. We have a chapter on fasting. And then I'm also going to give you a bonus feature. I don't know if it's called a feature, but bonus appendix, I guess, would be what it would be called here on the Audible version, as we go through talking about things I wish I would have known then, back 20 some years ago when I wrote this book, that I do know now. And this will be a bonus to those who are listening on the Audible version. And of course, we'll release it as a podcast. So let's talk about this, prioritizing your life. We've discussed choosing to change from the inside out so far. We've discussed wisdom, using wisdom, making the right choices, discipline, preparation, and different, food choices. Prioritizing is the next important step. Prioritizing is the ability to apply properly first things first to your health and fitness program. So prioritizing would be, and this is why those who make, health and fitness a lifestyle, versus, just a diet are really going to see better, they're going to see success because they are prioritizing their life. And so that menu prep, sometimes I have my meals ready, already made in mason jars, salads and some chicken breasts, maybe hard-boiled eggs or different things that you can take with you because how I feel in taking care of my body and being productive is huge. It's not, I don't know why people don't put more emphasis on health and fitness, because it affects everything that they do, including their spiritual health in many cases, for those who can make changes. For those who can exercise, generally only 1/24th, I think that's how you say it, of your day will be spent exercising. And that's a very insignificant amount of time, considering that many use 7 hours just to sleep. Success is the result of overall lifestyle changes, like I've been telling you. And so, we focus on this one tiny portion of the day exercise, which is good. But, the older I get, the more I get into this, the more I realize that health and fitness has a lot more to do with overall lifestyle and the food we choose, the amount of food we choose. We think, okay, I'm exercising and that way I'm going to see great results. Now, it's a part of it because maybe I should say this right now, in case I haven't yet, but you need a balance of cardiovascular training and resistance training, especially, look at the goals, look at a long distance runner, how lean they are compared to a sprinter, definitely a lot different in the way their body's holding muscle, because a long distance marathon runner is going to use a lot more muscle as fuel. Again, gluconeogenesis, breaking down the protein. And so, and I've gotten those kicks where, cardio, and I was losing weight, but man, I was flabby. And, again, it's not about looks, but we want to be good stewards of what God has given us. So, finding that balance in the book, I do go into more detail on resistance training versus cardiopulmonary training. But, in the podcast here, in the Audible version, just trying to keep it simple, because it's hard, you can't see charts and different things on paper. But the key is to get moving and moving more often. And of course, with cardio, you want to, give some variety. High interval intensity training is really big right now, which is HIIT. And, of course, resistance training. If you just don't, and that's what's hard. There's a lot of different levels here, from very knowledgeable to not knowledgeable at all. And if you can just go into the garage and even do half pull-ups, maybe get, one of those, they call it, I think, TRX. You can do some back exercises. You can do push-ups, maybe even on your knees to get started. You can do sit-ups. And there's videos now. YouTube has tons on men's training videos or women's training videos. And you can follow those for 30 minutes. And those would be a great exercise plan for you. So I would find what works for you, and stick with it. You'll be amazed at what some push-ups will do to your upper body, triceps. A lot of the women worry about, the back of the arm, the tricep, and it kind of can get soft. And then squats you can do at home. So you can do a lot of stuff at home, or I do it in the garage. I don't go to the gym anymore. So you can do things. Just make it part of your day, prioritize it, and don't get too caught up. Well, I do it 12 times, 15 times, 20 times, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but I do often high reps. I'm not trying to go heavy anymore. So I do high reps and to just really feel the body working. I look at design too. We were designed to lift heavy things. We're also designed to do repetitive work. So I try to mix all of those in. The number one excuse, you might be surprised at some of the excuses I've heard over the years, but I'm sure you won't be surprised to learn that time is the number one excuse. And sometimes it's a good one. A mom with 4 kids, granted, you still can have healthy options in the refrigerator, in the pantry. One of the things I did when we had our newborns is get the backpack, the walking stroller. You can actually stay active. They make good little weights too. And you can stay active, but a lot of times, even as dads, we give it the excuse like, okay, we'll have a baby now. And actually that should be the reason you're eating better, because what you eat, remember, is what the baby eats. Of course, with breastfeeding, that's just the truth. What you eat, what you drink, what you smoke, everything affects that child. So what a time to make a huge difference. Now, those who, on formula, I won't get into all those details. Some people have to go that direction. I would pick a very good organic, very, good formula that can mimic, the mother's milk. And I'll let you do the studying on that. I've got some thoughts, but I don't want to share those. Time is one of the most valuable commodities that you possess. It can thrust you into the core of achievement, or it can leave you consumed with guilt and regret. Time, if left to itself, will be the thief that robs you of opportunity. But when it is controlled, it can be used to great advantage. Use time wisely. It cannot be replaced. Okay, guys, it cannot be replaced. So all of us that get frustrated, including myself, and say, man, this is taking longer. This is hard. I'm not seeing results. And especially, I can tell you, I can relate. Now I'm recording this at 54 years old. We'll probably be releasing this when I'm 55. And if, let's say I weigh 208, I can show you a picture of when I weighed 208 when I was 30. And look like a miniature Arnold Schwarzenegger versus, I've lost a lot of muscle over the years. Wow. And it's just, once we understand that, we do what we can, but we just realize it's not about looks. It's about longevity and being productive and not getting caught up in the, Instagram and TikTok and look what they look like. Oh my goodness, I wish I could look like that. It gets harder. It's a lot harder. I'm just holding the line now. Back then, I could train and see some really good results, and you still can receive results. What happens as you get older, let's say training over 50. And some of you listening might be 60, some of you might be 70, even some of you might be 80. There's some people in phenomenal shape, as they get older. I think of, I don't want to list names because I don't know what will change in their character later on. But, I know people in their 70s that are, some of you know them, they're well known, and they are really phenomenally fit, if that's a phrase we can use. And you can build muscle. after, even in your older years. But here's what's happening. And here's why it's harder. Obviously 20s, even when I was in my 30s, I could tell testosterone levels were high, growth hormone levels were high, what they call cellular rejuvenation is more healthy. There's not a lot of toxins yet as we get older. So now as we get older, the body's actually breaking down. And that's why autophagy is important and fasting is important to kind of cleanse out everything. And then as we're getting older, it's getting harder. The cells don't respond as well. The mitochondria, the ATP, which is adenine triphosphate, that produces the energy in the cell. Everything is kind of slowing down, but the ability to still build muscle is there. It's just a harder, longer process, and you're not going to look like you would, in your 30s, even if you're on TRT. Testosterone replacement therapy, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I'm not against. If a person has to do that, it's a lifelong commitment really, but there are natural ways to increase testosterone. I would do that as long as you can. You don't need to look like, a bodybuilder at 60 years old. I'd be more concerned about my overall health than I would, that for sure. You'll never get everything done that needs to be completed in a day. Therefore, you must prioritize your day. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing for me to do in any given hour? So for me, my relationship with the Lord is the foundational. Everything else springs from that. From that, then I'll probably go work out, time with family, praying, serving the church, and then throughout the day, I'm choosing, if I choose to get a grande latte with tons of caffeine, I'm going to be a jerk for quite a few hours. I'm not going to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to be irritable. And so, we have to make choices throughout that day, realizing how it affects our time. And so don't let the excuse of time stop you from succeeding. I just don't have time. Well, actually you do, because you're eating throughout the course of the day. You can be more active. Yesterday, I don't even know how many steps I got in, but I parked all the way at the end of the mall, and I walked and probably got a mile in of just walking instead of trying to find a close parking spot. And, I really was craving, what my kids call froyo. I don't know if it's frozen yogurt. And I was like, oh man. And so I just went in, got maybe 100 calories worth, and then mixed in it, banana and some almonds and some walnuts, a couple hundred calories, and felt good, good energy. And so just those choices versus I could have really put on the toppings and so it's just those little choices. So we do have the time. If you don't have time to exercise, busy, I'm a busy mom. I don't have time to go drive to the gym and talk and work, either, but I do have time to do a 35 minute workout in my garage. I'm already done. And it's the same amount of time I would have spent driving. So you'll never get everything done that needs to get done in the course of a day. Again, you ask yourself, what do I need to do today? Or what I try to do is what I need to do in the next hour or two. It's all about leading a productive, balanced life and using time wisely. So don't let time be the excuse that stops you from succeeding. Contrary to what many people think, exercise can actually help you with the utilization of time. And so can prayer. People say, man, I just don't have a lot of time to pray. I don't have a lot of time spending time with God. I think it was Martin Luther who spent the first 3 hours of his day in prayer. So did Ian Bounds. It's not that hard. You get up earlier, you can spend a good hour with God, and then you'll actually find that you have a lot more time. Isn't it funny how that works? And so in the book, I go into more, as far as which is best, cardiopulmonary training, cardio for short, resistance training for results. What does that look like? Understanding both. Are you making sure you're not burning muscle? And there's ways to avoid overtraining. But I've already talked about a lot of those things here in this audio book, and I don't want to be repetitive for the sake of being repetitive. But if you need to go a little bit deeper, you can. The book also talks about breaking the exercise plateau, and I've talked about that on just a quick, quick illustration. Well, maybe not illustration, but a quick point. Your body will hit a plateau. And when you're, gaining weight, my body has a set point. It probably likes to weigh 220, 230 if I just don't watch my calories. And then your body gets used to what you're doing, and it'll adjust your metabolic rate to that. It'll adjust your hormonal, messages to that. And that's why, man, I'm hitting a set point. Okay. That's when you have to, increase the duration of your exercise or increase the intensity. And that's why it's okay sometimes, let's say, you're at 1,500 calories, 1,700 calories a day. It might be good for a few weeks, but then you might want to bump it to 2,800, a lot of nutrients. And then you kind of, you kind of keep your body guessing. There's no perfect plan, that will help you avoid the yo-yo effect where, you're constantly going back and forth. But, you can do things like trying to fast one day a week, trying to change things around a little bit. And you can get into more details, of course, about, the different diets that we talked about. But the key is to set realistic expectations. And I won't spend a lot of time here because I've been doing that as well. Is it realistic to lose 30 pounds in 30 days? Well, not unless you're going to do a 30 day water fast, supervised by your doctor. And if you lose, the quicker you lose it, there is a chance of your muscle also being broken down for fuel. You're actually going to only lose about a half pound a day with those types of fasting. But I would shoot for a good, 2 pounds a week. I don't weigh myself more than once a week. And then, getting into realistic expectations. Okay, I'm going to get my calories down to here. And that's why I don't give an exact diet to follow, because there are so many different variables. You could get with a trainer that knows what they're doing. You could, read different books, seek the Lord, what is best for you. But to get most people started, and again, I know not everyone agrees, but after 25 years of me just looking into it, listening to other people, a caloric deficit has to happen in order to lose weight. Sure, your thyroid and your insulin levels, glucagon levels, growth hormone levels, testosterone levels, hormones play a huge role in losing weight. And then you've got non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? The NEAT principle. There's people that are just more wiry. There's people that are just kind of wiry, man. They're slender because they're wiry. They're burning 1,000 more calories than we are a day. And so you look at realistic expectations. You say, okay, I've got to lower my caloric intake. What does that look like? You have to find, your base metabolic rate. There's calorie calculators. Let's say my base metabolic rate is, let's just say 1,800 calories I burn not doing anything. And I'm going to, burn another 500 with exercising. So now I'm at 2,400 maintenance calories. I'm going to have to really track for a while and stay below 1,800 if I want to lose some weight. But then there's other diets out there that I've talked to you about. My friend of mine, Dr. Paul Brillhart, has a great book on fasting. He had many people at 500-600 calories a day, 50% protein, and their body would go into a ketogenic state, and they were not hungry, and they were burning tons of weight, and they were maintaining. Muscle may be losing a little bit. And I did reach out to some of my friends I know, Ben Greenfield, Gary Brecka. I think I talked to Dr. Paul as well, and just asked, hey, what do you guys think? Daniel Pompa, what do you guys think is like the minimal amount of calories before you'll start losing muscle? And they all said you want to have at least 800 calories, mainly, protein resistance training to maintain that muscle. So that's not a bad idea. If you said, okay, Lord, I'm going to try with 800 calories. I don't want tracking to become my lifestyle. I don't want a calorie count for the rest of my life, but I need to make some changes here. So I want to end with the scripture that's important from Proverbs 14:23. Prioritizing means putting first things first. And so getting and staying fit is crucial, but sometimes tricky. It shouldn't be a surprise. All things worth doing are hard. Proverbs 14:23, in all labor there is profit, but idle chatter leads only to poverty. Obviously, the context he's dealing with is working hard. I got it. But the principle still applies. Labor is another word for effort. Idle is another word for inactivity. So in simple terms, effort produces results. Inactivity doesn't. I think that's a biblical principle. If I'm going to labor towards something that's worthwhile, it will mean that I will have some profit in the end. Not financial profit necessarily, but results. Where doing nothing, and that's what happens. And I love I love people. I have a heart for those who struggle with their weight, because I do if I don't stay on top of it. People close to me do. And so I don't like, they're just lazy. They're just not self-disciplined. I mean, there's many people in great shape or lack a lot of self-discipline in other areas. I won't get into all that. But we have to be active. We have to pursue. We have to labor in this course in order to see results. I mean, there's just no way around it. So those things in life worth having, including weight loss and health, generally take energy and commitment to achieve. So be encouraged. You do have the time. It's a matter of reprioritizing your time. You can succeed. It's just a matter of setting realistic goals. Seek the Lord. Pray. What does he put on your heart? I know without a shadow of a doubt, if you're like me and countless people I've talked to, he's convicting you about certain areas. And you have to listen to that conviction. For example, I've shared how he's convicted me about coffee before because it's a central nervous stimulant. It's a drug and it affects me. And so that might not be your conviction. Okay, great. Maybe he's convicting you about all the, extra chocolate and ice cream or stopping every day. Do you have to stop and get that energy drink that you're addicted to? I mean, we listen to these convictions and we start eating whole God-given food. You're not going to crave broccoli and hummus for a reason. You're not going to crave take some beans, let them soak overnight and boil them and put a little bit of seasoning on them. You're going to eat just enough because these are God-given food. So don't be discouraged if you're not where you want to be. I'm not where I want to be. Again, as I get older, I would like to be, less weight, less on my joints. I don't care if I have a six pack. I don't take off my shirt much. Those days are kind of gone, but, my joints feeling better, when I'm wrestling with my kids, getting off the floor better, putting my shoes on, working outside. I mean, I just really want to feel better. And so that's what it's about for me. So I have to keep falling forward as well. Again, the secret is learning to make more right choices than wrong choices and to rise each time you fall. Begin again and move forward. Persevere and you will finish well. Perseverance is your greatest attribute. It's one of your greatest attributes, I should say. And I just thought of this poem. For all of life is like a race with ups and downs and all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. So hope you enjoyed this chapter 6 on prioritizing, and we're going to get into a few more things before we conclude this audible version of What Works When Diets Don't. Again, you can download the book for free, at least during the time of this recording. If we still have a website, years from now, I don't know when you'll be listening. Everything is at westsidechristianfellowship.org. All the free books are available there to download.